To begin the finger puppet, you first need your fabric. So you're going to get a little square like this, and you're going to get a stencil like this. And what I want you to do is I want you to lay the stencil on the square, and I want you to line it up with the corner here. And you can just use a pencil and trace around the stencil. And then I want you to line it up on the other corner. Trace. You have to do it twice because we need a front and a back to the finger puppet. And don't throw these away. I want to keep these. And then you want to cut these out using your scissors, okay? So I think you guys know how to do that. So you have your needle and you have your thread. And what you want to do is you want to put the thread through the eye of that needle, through the opening, okay? So you might have to lick your fingers and kind of twist the end, and that makes all the little fibers just tighten up on themselves. And then I hold it really, really close in here. You don't want to hold it way back here because you have no control over that. So I put my fingers real close to the edge, and then I like wiggle the needle down on top of the thread. And once I see it come through, I take my other hand and I pull it through. And then you want to pull it through so it meets the other edge down here. Okay? Then you want to take these two edges and you want to tie a knot. So you crisscross and then tuck one side under. Pull that through. And then you got to do that again. So you just crisscross, tuck under, and then when you pull, you want to make sure you're kind of holding these down here so the knot doesn't slide up. So you want to keep the knot here at the end like that. So it should look like this when you're all finished, okay? This is what not to do. Do not crisscross, tuck under, and then pull all the way to the needle. That does nothing. That's not going to help you at all. So when you pull, you only want to pull a little bit, and then you do it twice to make it secure, because if you only do it once, it won't be secure. So we crisscross, tuck under, pull a little bit just so you have some more string there at the top, crisscross, tuck under, and then you pull right there. Okay, that's how you want it. Now, this string is really short. This isn't going to get me very far. So you want to do this a little longer when you begin your piece. So now I have two pieces of fabric, and you want to begin sewing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take one piece, and I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to go through it. And you want to pull until the knot stops you. That's why you have the knot, so it doesn't come through your fabric. When you pull, again, make sure you're holding right here, because you can pull and all the thread will come right on out if you're not holding on. So make sure you hold on. Okay, so now my knot is tucked in here, so I'm going to lay it on my other piece of fabric. This way we don't see the knot. Okay, and they should be the exact same size, and you're just going to do a whip stitch around the entire thing. So a whip stitch just means you're going to go around the top and then back through, around and back through, around and back through. So just kind of watch me here. So I always come in from the bottom, and you want to space out each thread evenly. So you don't want some with big gaps in between, and you don't want some that are super close together. You want to try to keep it even the whole way through. And you do this around the entire shape. when you sew, always kind of check in with yourself. Make sure you're getting the back part, so always flip it over and make sure it's all being sewn together. You're not missing any little parts, because they might shift as you sew, so you just want to make sure everything's still in the right place. So always kind of double check as you go. So what I've done is I've stitched all the way around this curve of the finger puppet. Now I don't want to stitch down here because this is where my finger will go to make the puppet move. Okay, so we have to leave that open, but I do have to tie off my stitch. Okay, so the goal here is you don't really want to see the knot, so what are we going to have to do? So let me zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to open up, and here's my last stitch. Okay, right here, you want to take your needle, you want to go under that last stitch, just like this. Okay, and you've created a loop here. So you have this loop. Then you want to take your needle, go through that loop, and pull. And it should be knotting on itself. Okay, and then you want to do that again. Go under that stitch. Create that loop, pull it through, and now you have a nice knot, and you can trim off your extra thread, and if you have enough, we can reuse it. Okay, and I'm just going to tuck that knot kind of back in a little so we can't see it. And now you have the base of a finger puppet, so now we just have to decorate it with little pieces of fabric. And then we can make it move, and we're creating art that moves. Okay, and here's another option. So I'm making a little design on my finger puppet before I sew the two pieces together, where the first one is just plain, and I'll decorate it after I sew them together. But this one, so let's say you have a few more things you want to put on. So I'm going to kind of just put this circle here. So you do this before you put these together, okay? So it's just the same kind of process. You thread your needle, create your knot, and you want to go up through the back of it. And for this one, I'm going to do something called a straight stitch or a running stitch. So this is just your basic kind of sewing. So you go up, and then you come back down through it. And then I'm going to come up again. Okay, so now that I've sewed that on, I can flip it over, and now I have to tie it off. So here is how you do that. So you want to go under one of your previous threads, put your needle under it like that, pull it through, hold your thread, and then you're going to see you created a loop there. Then you want to come back around and put your needle through that loop, hold it, and then you want to pull that tight. And always when we do knots, you want to do it twice, so it's nice and sturdy. So there's your loop, come back around, go through it, pull it tight, and then cut your string. Okay, so now I'm going to make like a little monster guy with eyeballs, so this is sort of like his little belly area. But that's how you attach another piece of fabric onto your little finger puppet. So this is taking it a little step further, where this is keeping it a little more plain and simple. So now from here with this one, now I can start putting these together and doing my whip stitch around the edge, just like I did with this one. Okay, just so you can see the difference there. Okay, so now that you have sewed your basic shape for your finger puppet, you want to decorate the face. So I'm doing little monsters, and so I've cut out the shapes that I need. So this is a part of my plan. So on this guy, I have 2 white triangles for the teeth, and then I cut out a black piece of felt for the mouth. And then here I'm going to just use these plastic googly eyes for his eyes, okay? So with this, we don't need to sew this on. What we're going to do is we're just going to glue it on. So we just want to be a little safe here. Okay, so these are low temperature hot glue guns. So low temperature means they don't get as hot as the traditional kind. So they won't hurt our fingers really if we touch it. It'll still be hot, don't get me wrong, but it's just not going to be super duper hot. Okay, so you just want to squeeze a little bit onto your fabric. Be careful. Place it down. Now we could sew these on, but for this assignment, because it is so small, I'm just having you guys glue these little parts on, and we're just worrying about the sewing around the edge. Okay, so here is one finger puppet all complete. So this is one option. You can do googly eyes. If you want to do more of like a larger eye, you'd have to cut it out of felt yourself. So on this one, I'm going to be doing that. First I'm going to glue the black felt onto the white, because I don't have large googly eyes, so you have to make your own. Okay, and with this one, I'm actually going to draw directly onto my finger puppet here. I'm going to draw a mouth. I have to use a Sharpie for this. So notice how I'm going back and forth to get the darkest line that I can. I'm going to make it a little smiley. Okay, and then I have another little triangle tooth that I cut out that I'm going to put onto this guy. Okay, so here are both of my examples of finger puppets, and remember we're creating art that can move. So it can't move unless we put our finger inside and we make it move. But now this again is another example of how you can make art that can move. And we learned some awesome sewing techniques with this one. You get to take these home and play with them. Create stories.